Welcome to the name game. Workout number 85 is Go Home Amanda, You're Drunk. AMRAP for 15 minutes. 3, 5, 7, ring muscle up. 3, 5, 7, squat snatch at 135.95. And 6, 10, 14 GHD sit-ups. So obviously it's going to continue in that fashion. It's a pattern, right? So it goes 3, and then add 2 to 5, add 2 to 7, add 2 to 9, add 2 to 11, etc. Same thing goes for the squat snatches. So you're increasing by 2 each time indefinitely. For the GHD sit-ups, you're doubling that, you're adding 4, complicated math here, 4 each time. So if you're someone who's not very good at math on the fly, or you aren't having someone who's judging you in person, I would probably recommend going through and writing through a bunch of these rounds further than you're actually going to get into them on a whiteboard, where you can see it from wherever you're at and make sure that even when you're wad drunk, that you're able to actually remember them. Let's get into standards. For the ring muscle up, you start from a dead hang. You have to make sure that you pass through some fashion of a dip and then lock out over top of the rings, where the rings are in alignment with your body, both from front and also side view, right? So making sure that you're not pressing back away and making sure that you're not letting the rings fly away from each of the sides. For the squat snatches, bar starts in the floor. You'll pass through a squat, which squat is considered to be hip crease below the top of the knee, and then stand up fully at the top of each rep before you lower the bar back down, showing that you're locked out and that hips and knees are open at the top of the rep. The GHD sit-ups, again, what we've always been saying is 40 inches for males from the top of the pad to where you're touching your hands. Females, that's 37 inches. And then you have to make sure you're touching the foot pad at the start of each rep, the initiation of that rep, and at the finish of that rep. So make sure you're doing it before and after. And then obviously you have to touch the ground or the pad to that 40 or 37 inch mark with both hands. Let's loop in Coach Chris. We'll talk about strategy.
Obviously, this is a play off of the workout Amanda, which is that workout is 975 ring muscle ups and snatches at 135.
Squat snatches.
Correct. And so what we've done is similar movements. We threw in a GHD sit up. We made it an ascending rep scheme, and we made it an AMRAP. So
everything's harder.
Exactly. And so at first glance, the bottleneck here is going to be the ring muscle ups. Now, the combination is pretty common to what we've seen in CrossFit. So like the squat snatch ring muscle up combination is obviously it's a name workout. So that's common. And then in each of the last 2 quarterfinals, we've seen a combination of GHDs and an upper body pull movement. This year in quarterfinals, it was GHDs and ring muscle ups. So we've seen those movements combined before. And so to take common movements that are combined and putting them on an ascending rep scheme is going to make things super tough. But being the nature of the ring muscle up, a high skill gymnastics movement that some people honestly really struggle with, plus the rep scheme of the GHDs per set is not super high, you're going to really feel the sit up more so on the ring muscle ups, and just overall, my estimation would be muscular fatigue through that movement. So that's probably going to be where the log jam is.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, if someone doesn't have ring muscle ups, I would say for my athletes who don't have them, I would probably just have them sub like a chest to bar. And that will change it because there's not really as much pressing. There's not as much like core, like there's not as much of like a hollow body requirement in a chest to bar. However, it's obviously still going to demand a lot of like the shoulder and the lat, which is going to be the case here. So for people who do have ring muscle ups, yeah, I mean, even if you are pretty proficient, everyone's going to get to the point where we're saying this, like this is long enough of a workout where everyone's going to get to the point where they're like, oh yeah, my ring muscle ups are now fatigued and I'm trying to like figure out how to do these the best I can, and having to kind of alter my technique a little bit because I have a lot of hip fatigue. I have a lot of core fatigue, respiration's elevated. And then you also just sort of like have done a lot of muscle ups. So you're tired. Mm-hmm. So like figuring out how to do that and how to best continue to chip away at reps in the last 5 minutes in particular of this workout are going to be super important for maximizing your points.
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on how good you are at ring muscle ups, you're going to really want to approach this as a long-term quote approach, right? And so someone might look at that and be like, okay, well, I can do 3 unbroken, I could do 5 unbroken, I could do 7 unbroken, right? And so it's like, but does that pay off in the long term? Right.
No.
Yeah. So like 3 and 5, if you're good at ring muscle ups, I think you should definitely be doing those unbroken, but it's an ascending rep scheme, right? And generally speaking, those ascending rep schemes can bait you into the trap of going too fast, too big of chunks in the beginning, and then just totally deteriorating at the end. Now, the question then becomes, how quickly can you cycle most likely singles on the squat snatches? And so if you're quick and methodical on there, then you could jump into the GHDs, do each one of those sets, quote, unbroken and stay smooth, and then break up the ring muscle ups as needed. But, unless you're like one of the elite, super, super elite in ring muscle ups, like I see that, if you're pretty good at ring muscle ups, I see like the round of 7. It's like, all right, I'm just going to do this in 2 sets with a quick rest, maybe the same thing on the round of 9, and then just kind of going from there.
I mean, I would just write it on a whiteboard in front of you so you can just look at it and like basically just chunk it up into like, depending on your proficiency level, it could just be like doubles, maybe it's 3s. But being really conservative and just, allowing yourself to take more breaks than you think you'll need, especially like right from the beginning. And like you're saying, like that methodical squat snatch, I think, again, getting in the habit of dropping it, like maybe moving like 1 foot back, leaving 1 foot planted and just like stepping that other foot back in, grabbing the bar, like hopefully at the same time, like with both hands, rather than like putting one hand, placing it, looking to your right or your left, and then vice versa, setting, like doing like that, double knee bend to like kind of like that dynamic start in your snatch every time, like you're trying to max out, like just set up like you're deadlifting, grab with both hands at the same time, immediately go into the rep. Little like things like that save you a ton of time.
Yeah. And kind of like we were saying, we're almost using like, comp plates don't really bounce as much, but if you have your standard high temp plates, it's like using that as the rhythm between reps, where it's like once like
the bar settles and you grab it.
It settles. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Once it's settled, you grab it and you go. And if you do that and you're able to do that efficiently throughout the workout, then you're going to get deeper and then have to stick to that methodical plan and breaking things up from the ring muscles. But if you're going to take long gaps in snatches, right? To me, again, that's not the bottleneck in the workout, but you could lose time there because you're just taking too long.
Yeah. I mean, this is all like with the assumption that people are going to be resting in between sets of ring muscle ups.
Right.
Which I think is probably true for every single person doing this workout. So when that's the case, you're not going to be completely exhausted from like a cardiovascular standpoint when you get to the snatches, so that you can move through those at more of a higher cadence pace than you would typically want to, like just from like a, like kind of like feeling like you're just moving through the workout, like it's with some urgency, getting to the GHDs, getting through those, like again, quickly and methodically, so that you, again, get that first set of muscle ups in. That way you can kind of earn your break and take a little bit of time before you keep chipping away your next sets.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anything else?
No, I'm looking forward to doing this one. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
And lastly, we encourage as many people as possible to jump in with you and do these workouts. So you've got people who want to throw down with you, by all means, encourage them to do that. However, we want everyone to submit their scores, right? So where you're going to go to is zorfitness.com. You'll hit on menu, drop down from the protocol. You'll hit that tab called name game. And then you'll go down to the first workout, which should be the newest one. And you're going to click that little green arrow. There you'll be able to enter your name, as long also with the workout name. That's important because it tags it so it doesn't get lost in the forum later on. But then you obviously are going to put your score or your time, and then you'll submit it. If you click on that little number next to it, you're going to see all the other comments, right? You might actually not be able to view them all. So if you hit view all comments, that's going to take you down sort of a leaderboard where you get to compare scores. And then also your coach gets to help determine where you stack up versus other competitors to be able to determine your individual weaknesses. It's going to be super helpful for us, pretty exciting and engaging for you guys. And if you're someone who's watching this, you're not a Zor Fitness athlete yet, I'll link to it below, but you can either check out the protocol or one-on-one coaching, and we'll reach out, see if you're a good fit. And for everyone, best of luck on the workout.